Wake up weekday mornings from 5 to 9. LI in the AM with Jay Oliver. Traffic and weather every 10 minutes on the 5s. And A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta on Suffolk County's news and information leader. 103.9 LI News Radio.
And we are back. It is 8:09. Now time for our Spotlight segment on Long Island. Embarking on term number 2, 3rd District he is representing. Talking about Assemblyman Dean Murray up in Albany as we speak, getting ready for a session. First one of 2017. Assemblyman Murray, always a pleasure and Happy New Year.
Hey, good morning to you, Jay. Happy New Year to you.
Well, not a lot going on yesterday. Getting ready for another dull few months of session in Albany. But actually something did come through yesterday in the fact of the Governor Andrew Cuomo announcement of free tuition coming down the pike. What a great photo op that was with Bernie Sanders, I thought. First thing to myself, Dean Murray.
Yeah, we're going to kick off the session today, and apparently the governor was kicking off his presidential run yesterday because that seems like nothing more than something to put on his resume for a 2020 presidential run because it's not really going to do much good for New Yorkers, to be honest with you. It was all a gimmick. There are so many holes in this proposal, Jay. First off, they're saying that this will cost about $163 million. So where are we going to get $163 extra million? I mean, it has to come from somewhere. Whenever the government uses that 4-letter word free, it ends up costing you quite a bit. Yeah. And it'll cost the taxpayers quite a bit here because nothing is free. But what does this do to solve the root of the problem? Part of the problem, and most of the problem, lies in some of the private schools, not so much the state university system. The state university system is still a very inexpensive way to get a great college degree. SUNY Stony Brook. The average SUNY cost is about $6,500 annually. So for 4 years, you're looking at a total of about $26,000. In today's world, that's still a bargain. But this would apply. His proposal applies to SUNY and CUNY schools. Does nothing as far as private universities. When we talk about the problem of rising tuitions and rising costs, let's think about how and when that started. It started mainly when the government decided they're going to guarantee all the student loans. All of a sudden, all the private schools said, hey, we'll jack up our tuitions as high as we can get. As long as the government's going to guarantee it, why not? Yeah. So it was all bets are off. So that's when we saw the big boom as far as the rise in tuition costs. And this is when people started getting in mountains and mountains of debt. But you don't see these kids graduating from SUNY and CUNY schools with mountains and mountains of debt. Do they have some? Sure, they still have some student loans they have to pay off. But let's also get into the nuts and bolts of his proposal. His proposal starts off with a threshold of $100,000. Now, $100,000 for a family of 4, say, $100,000 with one of the children wanting to go to a SUNY or CUNY school, that's a little bit different up in the Finger Lakes or Western New York than it is on Long Island. Mm. So it's already coming out of the box. We're talking about being disproportionately very unfair to Long Islanders. This won't benefit as many Long Islanders as it will benefit upstate folks. So right away, out of the box, it's not fair to Long Island. But then look at the thresholds. For the last couple of years, the Assembly Republicans have been pushing to up the TAP threshold, which is the Tuition Assistance Program. Now, Jay, we already spend close to $1 billion a year on the Tuition Assistance Program, helping students throughout New York to lower their costs for a college education. So we're already spending a lot of money. So when they come out and they say, well, this is a great investment, of course it's a great investment. Of course we want to educate and invest in education. But education is already where we spend by far the most money in the state of New York.
Well, listen, nothing's free, as what you said. Taxpayers will certainly feel the burden of this. My biggest thing with this thing is, what about the devaluation, Dean Murray, of a degree in itself?
Oh, absolutely.
Getting a degree for a job that one is fit for, I mean, you're talking about offsetting of what a college education is really supposed to do. This is the underlying factor as far as the student is concerned and his family.
No, you're absolutely right. You're 100% right. As some people have put it, you got to have skin in the game to give it worth. And I agree with that. What happened to earning things these days? my gosh, all we do is now is everyone's, we want to make everyone reliant on government and give it all away, entitlements here and giveaways there. What happened to the good old American spirit of let's go out and earn it? Again, you got to have some skin in the game here to make it worthwhile. But again, I agree with you. You're going to devalue it. If everyone has it, what makes it special kind of approach. The other thing is this, Jay, not everyone is going to college. It's just that simple. You can't try to fit everyone into the same form or have the same plan for everyone. Not everyone is going to college. It's just that simple. Is it a good idea? Is it a great idea? Will it give you an advantage? Probably. But as you said, if everyone is doing it and it's free, where is the advantage? I compare it to this. When we talk about the Regents diploma, the Regents diploma used to be very special. It was above and beyond. You graduated with a Regents diploma. It showed that, wow, they're really working hard and doing great. Now, when you make a Regents diploma a requirement for graduation, it just is what it is now. It's not special. Not to mention the fact that they started playing with the test scores and the rates. So, what is special about it?
And Dean, think about it. The job market is more competitive now than it's ever been. Let's face it. I mean,
Sure.
You're talking about. Can you imagine 1,000 more people with the same degree as you're competing with for the same job? I mean, how are you ever going to be made more employable than others? Where is that differentiation going to come into play?
It'll come into play when you go to a trade school instead of college. To be honest, that's what that's going to start doing. But that's a great point, Jay. But let's take it one step further. Who's going to be able to hire anymore? Because, again, I go back to who's going to foot the bill for this $163 extra million that we're going to have to come up with to pay for this program? Yeah. Of course, the taxpayers, and who all the taxpayers as well? Small business owners. So you're going to have, again, another hit on the taxpayers of New York, which makes it more attractive for them to leave New York.
Listen,
so when these kids graduate, are they going to stay here? Are we going to give them a free 4-year college education only to see them go out the door and leave to Arizona or North Carolina or somewhere else?
Hey, listen, it really is when you think about it, and people can certainly have their own opinions, but one could certainly ascertain that it's just another manipulative tool by Andrew Cuomo, cast out to the young public to get the millennial vote in 2020. Thus, Bernie Sanders standing by in a nice little photo op. And, of course, he touting a free college education, that whole thing. And, of course, you had Sanders chiming in yesterday. If New York kind of kicks this off, well, the rest of the country will follow. I mean, it was such an obvious deal going on yesterday, but such the case. But, the other thing is, as well, when you think about it, you ask the question, the big questions here, 2 of them that come to mind. K through 12, is that fully funded? Not yet. And what about Common Core? Can we fix Common Core first? Can we implement rolling it out the right way in year 3? I mean, can we fix ongoing situations in education before we jump into this stuff?
Oh, I agree with you completely. The other thing is this, it seems to many that our governor is pushing more towards a privatization path when it comes to education, which I think is a mistake. Let's focus on the public education system, and as you said, let's get rid of the Common Core. Let's get control of curriculum back to the local level where it belongs. And by the way, Long Island, again, and I've said it over and over again, and I'll say it till the day I die, I think, Long Island has some of the greatest public schools in the nation, by far. Why are we trying to screw that up with Common Core, which is what we're doing? If they're doing great, leave them alone. Let's focus on the schools that are struggling and do have problems, and then help them to better themselves. But again, better themselves, not come on with this one-size-fits-all so-called solution that is causing more problems than it's fixing. So, again, you hit it right on the head. Yesterday was basically the kickoff of Andrew Cuomo's 2020 presidential campaign. But I'll throw this little warning out to our governor, and that is, you better pay attention to the next 2 years, because you still have to run for re-election in 2018 if you plan on still being our governor. And you keep doing things like this, you're going to chase more New Yorkers away, and you'll lose that seat.
And listen, it's already it was out today. New York, New Jersey, they're getting out. They're flocking to other states left and right faster than any other states in the union right now. So you're absolutely right. You got to be careful. Talking with Dean Murray, he's an assemblyman, 3rd District. Session starting today in Albany. Before we let you go, Assemblyman Murray, I would imagine a couple of big things on the Murray agenda here as you start today up there. And that is the return of some local governments to set these sex offender residency limits. Not only that, you and I have spoken before about expanding the registry 20 to 30 years. That wasn't done. I thought that was a big faux pas ending in mid-June last year by not getting this done. Hastie and company, the speaker, has to be able to set some standards here to finalize stuff like this that people are waiting for. That's going to be a big topic, I would imagine.
Oh, absolutely. We've already started working on that. We pre-filed that bill with a few little tweaks to it, and that is my number one goal right now, is getting that bill passed. And the bill we're talking about, as you said, is extending the length of time that registered one offenders have to stay on the registry, the level 1 offenders, rather, from 20 to 30 years. But also, and this is another important caveat of the bill, is allowing local governments, the local county government elected officials, to set reasonable restrictions as to where the convicted sex offenders are residing. You know, we've had several cases over the last couple of months. In Babylon, we had it in Patchogue recently, where you have convicted level 3 sex offenders, which are the worst of the worst, living directly across the street or right behind an elementary school. And people say, "What? How could this possibly happen? That can't be legal." Well, unfortunately, yeah, because we didn't pass this bill, so it is legal, because there are no local restrictions on where they can reside. The only restriction in place right now in the state of New York on where a convicted sex offender can reside is a level 2 or level 3 offender who is currently on parole or probation, and that's the caveat, cannot live within 1,000 feet of a school. But both of these cases, the person was finished with parole or probation. They were off parole or probation. Therefore, they were perfectly legal. So we have to pass that bill. That bill also...
It's a no-brainer.
It's absolutely a no-brainer, but it also will help with what Suffolk County has, which is the Community Protection Act. But it also helps with something that Suffolk County does that not everyone does. The Parents for Megan's Law, they have a program where they go out and they check on where these sex offenders are living to make sure they're abiding by the rules, actually. And they do a fantastic job doing this. The recidivism rate has dropped tremendously since they've started doing this. Well, in this bill, it will also make sure that there have been some legal attacks on them doing this by the ACLU. This bill will also put in place to make sure that continues. So that's a very, very important aspect.
No question. County control key. Before I let you go, obviously ethics will be a topic for once and for all. Let's put to bed the fact that if you are a public official convicted of corruptive practices, the pension has to be stripped. That has to be put in place, Dean Murray. That's a must.
Absolutely. And I expect that to be done this month. It'll be one of the first things we take up. I expect that to be taken care of very early in the session this year. And remember, once we pass it, because it will be a constitutional amendment, so once we pass it, it will then be on the ballot in November. There will be a referendum vote. So the voters then have to go out, turn out to the polls, and vote on this and make sure that happens.
Now, all we could do is hope that Speaker of the House in Cole Hastie has had a good summer off, a nice little vacation. He's well rested, ready to go, and can certainly lead the way up there. Always a pleasure.
Hey, thanks, Jay.
Happy New Year to you. We'll talk more. Dean Murray, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, 8:23, a quick break, and we come right back.